Tammy, thank you. I love Canada. I was born here, raised here. I'm Canadian, proud of it. But the one part about our society that has bugged me for a very long time is this. We are soft on crime, like seriously soft on crime. One of my biggest issues is the sentencing rule that for the majority of my adult life stopped judges from stacking sentences on convicted criminals. For example, if you're found guilty of 5 first-degree murders, you serve those sentences at the same time, meaning you're eligible for parole after 25 years, not 125 years when you add it all up. But in 2011, that changed. Then Prime Minister Stephen Harper, in his 5th year in office, made a number of provisions in an effort to toughen up crime laws in this country. Part of that was giving judges the opportunity to institute consecutive life sentences before the possibility of parole. I liked that. Why, after a mass murder, should someone in this country be eligible for parole after 25 years? Doesn't make any sense. I know it doesn't for a lot of you watching out there. But a few people in this country in May of 2022 disagreed. Problem was they were sitting on the Supreme Court when they did it. All 9 members voted to make consecutive sentences illegal following an appeal from Alexandre Bissonnette, who was found guilty of 6 counts of first-degree murder in the Quebec mosque shooting, of 2017. Crown prosecutors initially floated the idea of 150 years before parole eligibility, but the Supreme Court stopped it, saying, and I'm not making this up, quote, life sentences without the chance of parole are both cruel and unconstitutional, end quote. Even if you killed 6 people and tried to kill 6 others, unconstitutional. I couldn't believe it. Others, specifically the families of victims, were gobsmacked. The key word in that ruling was unconstitutional. So how do you make it constitutional? Well, Conservative leader and potential future Prime Minister Pierre Poilievre has an idea. The notwithstanding clause. It's a clause in the Charter of Rights and Freedoms that can override it if it's for the greater good. It's rarely been used provincially, never been used federally for anything. But last week, while speaking to the Canadian Police Association, Poilievre hinted that when it comes to crime, he could go there.
We're going to repeal that, and it will be an automatic fait accompli that multiple murderers will stay in maximum security, and by the way, they will have consecutive, not concurrent sentences. Multiple murderers will only ever come out of jail in a box. And all of my proposals are constitutional, and we will make them constitutional using whatever tools the Constitution allows me to use to make them constitutional. I think you know exactly what I mean. So they will happen, and they will stay in place.
We know what you mean. The Prime Minister was quick to respond to that.
Pierre Poilievre just proposed to override the fundamental freedoms and protections of Canadians. Override the charter that is there to protect women, minorities, to us LGBTQI+ communities. That's not right, and it's not responsible.
Trying to find exit routes when talking about the Charter of Rights and Freedoms in this country is not a conversation I like at all. But then I think about this. The Afzaal family, run down and killed by a murderous 20-year-old punk in London, Ontario in June of 2021. It was judged to be a terrorist act, but instead of 100 years before being parole eligible, he's up in 25. Incredible. Listen, I normally don't enjoy listening to any kind of argument regarding overriding the Supreme Courts with a notwithstanding clause. It's kind of dangerous most of the time. However, when it comes to giving the families of victims some peace and keeping the worst criminals in Canadian history behind bars for the rest of their life, it's an argument I'm willing to listen to. Thank you for your time. More Breakfast Television coming up after this.